Chevron refinery workers in Richmond, California are on strike. In fact, you probably don't know this, it's their 7th week of striking, and they are demanding better wages, better working conditions, and it's not like Chevron can't afford it. But of course, they are fighting their own workers pretty aggressively. Before we get to those details though, let's take a look.
I think they look at us as bodies and they don't respect us as people, and they don't value our skills that we've built up over time.
You're unable to do the things that you want to do with your family. You make these sacrifices to take care of your family and come work at Chevron. And when you add into that understaffing and forced overtime and standby periods, your life basically begins to revolve around being in here or waiting to get called to be in here. And your home life suffers.
They didn't want to hear us. They dismissed our health and safety concerns within the proposals, some of the protections in our contract, and that's what brings us out here.
It's gotten to the point where we don't feel it's safe in there to operate right now, especially with the long hours, force outs, forced standbys. You essentially have no time for your family or personal life.
With the high cost of living in the Bay Area, it's rough for any blue collar worker. And a lot of times these corporations will have these windfall profits, but refuse to take care of their workers. So what we've seen in the past few years is the raised.
So please check out the Perfect Union Twitter page where they post a lot of these videos, also their website. They do great work and provide a voice for people who typically get ignored by the corporate media for obvious reasons. But negotiating in bad faith, Chevron proposed 2 contracts to the Unified Steelworkers Union without addressing the workers' main concern, which is the cost of living in the Bay Area, which is where many of them live. They're working for one of the most profitable corporations in the world, and they are not made whole by their employers so they can afford to live in the area they need to work in. And so the talk stalled. Chevron has decided to ramp up its police presence at the facility to intimidate the workers on strike. They're not even trying to hide it. So in the weeks before the walkout, the group of Richmond police officers were put on standby in case they were needed at the refinery. During the first week of April, Chevron paid the San Pablo Police Department to put officers at the facility's gates. Chevron agreed to pay overtime to both departments to make officers available.
So they can raise wages.
Yeah, I mean,
in theory,
they can shell out the cash to crush their workers, but they can't shell out the cash to make sure their workers can afford to put a roof over their heads as they work for their company. That's what's happening right now. And by the way, it's amazing how much love there actually is for unions in this country, because while I have my issues with policing in America, no question, a lot of these cops are like, I ain't about this. I don't really want to do this. I'll get to those details.
Maybe it's love. There's other reasons they might not want to take part than just love, and apparently some did, as you'll get into.
Yeah, no, some of them do. Like they're protected by a union. I mean, I think the police union is devastating in certain ways, and we've talked about that on the show. It protects a lot of terrible, brutal force that's carried out by cops. But no, the point I'm trying to make is support for unions, and I'm not talking about politicians, I'm talking about normal people, is actually pretty high. Right, which is why the one time Ben Shapiro made the mistake of saying negative things about unions, his own audience turned against him. I think that should be a teachable moment for all of us.
Yeah, and that's why the right-wing media generally avoids the difficult topic by just never ever talking about any of these actions whatsoever.
Yeah, they got to talk about Mr. Potato Head and Dr. Seuss instead.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro's not going to do a segment on Chevron and why the union is wrong. Of course, well, he's not going to do it that they're right, obviously, because he doesn't support them. So he's just not going to talk about it at all. And that's why it's always so weird when Tucker Carlson, who's obviously, as you all know, he is a warrior, a champion for the common man. Has he showed up at any of these? Has Ingram or Shapiro, is Trump going there? Any of the politicians? Literally anyone who's right of Nancy Pelosi? Have they showed up to a single one of these? I don't know, maybe it's California. They don't want to go to California. Okay, East Coast, the coal mine workers, do they go hang with them? No, they don't care about any of them. They're not interested in all of it. And so you're left in this situation that feels like weirdly old school. Like oil company pays goons to break up strike. That headline could have been in a newspaper 100 years ago. Like we've come very little distance since then.
Yeah.
This is effectively like hiring the Pinkertons to crack some skulls and break up a strike. That's all it is.
What's also interesting is we're not talking about Alabama. Like we're talking specifically about California.
Yeah, where's Gavin Newsom?
Oh, come on.
He wants to be president.
Come on, John.
He wants to be president.
Come on, pretty boy Newsom. Yeah, he wants to be president.
Come on, you can wear a hard hat and walk around there. It'd be a great photo op.
I will go to war if the Democratic Party decides to promote him as a presidential nominee.
What if it's him or Buttigieg?
Like, I don't, honestly, living in California under the leadership of Gavin Newsom, I know firsthand how terrible he is. There is no way in hell I would support Gavin Newsom. No way. No way, no way.
I would. Nice teeth.
Don't care. I don't care if Satan himself is running against him.
He might be.
I mean, yeah, that's
Again.
true. That's true. I'm not emboldening Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that the workers are doing this. I think that they can, in theory, might be bolstered a bit by the fact that there is an environment nationally that's more supportive of these sorts of things. They need support though. I mean, they need coverage like you got from the More Perfect Union right there. They, in theory, need politicians to support them. Obviously Gavin Newsom's not going to do it, but there are good progressives in California that could head over there. Bay Area progressives, by the way.
No, but the point that I'm trying to make is there are more labor protections in California compared to other states.
Yeah, of course.
And so, like, why is Chevron getting away with this? Why is Chevron allowed to bring police in to attempt to intimidate and crack skulls, like of their workers? Now, 4 days after the strike began, Chevron security director reached out to any and all police departments willing to, quash efforts to do the strike. Anyone engaging in the strike. In an email obtained by KQED, security director Daryl Jackson said he understands the optics of bringing police in, saying, quote, "I was asked to reach out to you and any other police agencies to see if there is any interest in providing on Chevron paid overtime uniformed officers to assist in keeping traffic flowing around the refinery. Chevron understands the optics, but I've seen some very dangerous vehicle opportunities, and those optics have the opportunity to look bad as well," he wrote. What does that mean?
I mean, it could be a reference to the fact that in the aforementioned coal strikes, the worker, like some of the brass or whatever, was like running into the protesters. Like, what does keep the traffic flowing mean? Well, you have to clear a path so that trucks can continue to get in, but the workers are standing in the way. So you're either hitting them with the trucks or you're hitting them as the cop to get them out of the way. That's what they're being hired to do. Like, that's the reason they have to choose cops in the first place, is they're asking them to do something that will be illegal, but in theory, they'll be protected by the fact that they're cops.
Yeah. Well, several hours later, the San Pablo police chief, his name is Ron Raymond, wrote back asking if anyone had taken Chevron up on its offer. Crickets, nothing, nada, Jackson replied. Wow, our rate would be close to $200 an officer per hour. I can try to fill it, but it's kind of last minute.
That's a lot of money. I would consider it, but.
No, you wouldn't.
That's
not in a million years.
$200 an hour. That's a lot of money.
It took them 5 days to take the deal. But look, at the end of the day, historically speaking, policing in this country has been used to target black people, we know that, and also protect property, protect corporate property. That's it. I mean, we saw it happen in Zuccotti Park in real time. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
One of the first things that Chase Bank did as the protesters were gathering in Zuccotti Park in New York was provide a pretty sizable donation to the New York Police Department. Gee, I wonder why.
Cop enthusiasts. They just like him. Yeah, no, but this again, this is classic America. If you look at some of like the biggest individual instances of police brutality, effectively the putting down of insurrections, it's sending in law enforcement to absolutely brutalize and murder minors in some areas, striking workers. There is a long, robust history in the United States. And thankfully, people are paying attention. That's what makes it a little bit harder. It's a little bit harder to get cops to sign on to break a bunch of people's skulls if the video is gonna be on Twitter the next day.